It's a real pleasure. Thank you very much for inviting me to be here today to discuss the Shakespeare-VR project. Shakespeare-VR is an educational initiative that introduces students to the spaces and practices of the Shakespearean theater in virtual reality. I began the project about 7 years ago with, at the core of the conception is a very simple observation, not controversial at all, that Shakespeare wrote his plays to be performed and to be seen and to be heard, of course, but in a very, very specific sort of space. Educationally, for students, by familiarizing oneself with the particularities of that space, by which I mean the Elizabethan theater, we've all heard of the Globe Theater, I think, and also the smaller indoor playhouses, one can gain a much richer appreciation of the drama itself, and begin to get an idea of why the drama looks the way it looks, why it's written the way it's written. These are related directly to a very, very specific set of material conditions. Stop that. There we go. Sorry. This is driving me crazy. There we go. No, there we go. As I know, we've got a lot of teachers in the audience today, and as you will know, especially those of you who have taught Shakespeare or drama, one of the challenges of teaching and studying Shakespeare in particular is that a play requires a different mode of readerly attention than most other sorts of texts. Just reading a play works differently than reading a poem or reading a novel, not where, for a novel, everything you really need is right there on the page and is doing all that imaginative and representational work for you. That's not the case for drama. So for students unaccustomed to dramatic conventions, a Shakespearean text in particular, this is a page from a modern edition of the To Be or Not to Be soliloquy in Hamlet. A student can kind of look at this and they see speech prefixes and stage directions, and you've got all this business at the bottom, Q and F, and what all is that? It can just seem, setting aside the bar of just getting over the hump of language, reading Shakespearean drama can often seem as though one's just engaging with this incomprehensible pile of words. What is this? And it really takes a little while. The humps usually not nearly as difficult as students assume at first, but it does take a little while just to be able to read a play with an ability to imagine how it would be realized in performance. And this ability does not always come naturally, because unlike most other forms of literature, play texts are organized around implicit assumptions of certain physical conditions, right? We've got people entering and exiting, et cetera, et cetera. So a dramatist, just William Shakespeare, but also readers of drama, have to develop an ability to think not only in terms of words, but think in terms of bodies and voices and gesture and acoustics, and, to get to Shakespeare-VR, think in terms of a very particularized type of space. So Shakespearean drama also involves an assumption of certain conditions of performance. So here is a little diagram of the Globe Theater. So you have things such as a thrust stage, a trap door, surround seating, or almost surround seating anyway, universal lighting, everybody can see each other. There is a real minimum of props for the most part on the Shakespearean stage. In any given scene, there's only things that people can carry on and off stage very, very easily. Now, all of these elements are written into the DNA of a Shakespearean text and help make it what it is. So again, the argument from the Shakespeare-VR project is that in order to really get Shakespeare and understand where the drama is coming from, what it's trying to do, students have to have some sense of what early modern theatrical experience looked like and what it felt like. So my goal, as I said, has been to use virtual reality to give my students a fine-grained experience of early modern theatrical conditions. If I had the budget for it, I would love to take every single Shakespeare class I had down to the American Shakespeare Center, where there's a recreation of the Blackfriars Theatre, or to London, where there's the Sam Wanamaker Theatre and the Globe Theatre. But I can't always do that. But I can give them a little taste in virtual reality. So that is the idea. Okay, so in contrast to other sorts of visual aids. So for years and years, Shakespeare instructors have been using videos and PowerPoint slides, et cetera, et cetera. In contrast to those, virtual reality has this special capacity to provide an immersive, interactive approximation of theatrical experience, or a different sort of approximation anyway. Users of virtual reality can engage with the drama as they would in a theater, or come close to that anyway. And by the way, I'm not in any way suggesting that virtual reality should replace theatrical experience. If I thought for 1 second that my project would discourage people from going to the theater, I swear to God, I'd just jump out of my window, right? That's the opposite of what we're trying to do here. But users can engage with the drama as they would in a theater without the mitigating influence of, for example, a fixed camera angle that's telling you where to look, right? In virtual reality, you can look all around wherever you want, as in a theater. Or other mitigating influences such as a fixed two-dimensional interface, where you've got film theorists talk about the narrative influence of the frame, right? Virtual reality does kind of have a frame in a different sort of way, but it's much more fluid and open. Moreover, the technology also has a tremendous potential to facilitate an active learning experience. In this respect, the Shakespeare-VR project follows in the footsteps of active learning approaches to Shakespeare instruction that have been pioneered over the past few decades, beginning somewhere in the late 90s, by educators at places such as the Globe Theatre in London, at the Folger Institute, and my colleagues and collaborators at the American Shakespeare Center. So founded on a philosophy of learning by doing. So it's kind of like, for those of you familiar with the Montessori method, right? This idea of give kids precious, fragile, fine things to handle, and get people up out of their seat, vocalizing. So the idea there is to combine those sorts of experiential forms of learning with conventional lecture to foster a more physical engagement with dramatic texts. So, shortly after I arrived at Carnegie Mellon University in 2018, I made some very, very important collaborators. This is Jae-hee Cho and Ralph Vituccio, and that's Ethan McSweeney. Those are my buddies. Those are my best friends. And my partners and I took a very expensive virtual reality camera on loan. Google, which has offices in Pittsburgh, very kindly loaned us this $25,000 camera. We took it down to Stanton, Virginia, which is home to the American Shakespeare Center and the Blackfriars Playhouse. And as you can get a sense here of the space, the Blackfriars Playhouse is just this, if you ever get a chance to go down there, you really, really ought to. It's just this absolutely gorgeous, quasi sacred space to be in. It will send a shiver down your spine just walking through the door. So they built, the town of Stanton, that's a great story, they collectively built this replica of the indoor theater used by Shakespeare's company, the Blackfriars Theatre. So we spent a very memorable day working with professional actors from the American Shakespeare Company. And over the course of a few hours, we shot a few soliloquies from Hamlet in front of a live audience. It was very important to my collaborators at the ASC that we film with a live audience there to get a sense, again, of that dynamic between actors and audience that's so important to this style of theatrical presentation. So here we are, again, in Stanton. The Blackfriars, as you can see, is also a very intimate environment. There's seating on 3 sides. Audience members actually sit on the stage. Those are called the Lord's seats. I've sat during a full play in those seats. It's incredibly nerving and weird to have people looking at you while you're watching a play. But that's a historical practice. If you were really rich, you could pay to sit on the stage and everybody can look at you while they're watching the play, people like that. So this endeavors to supplement the tradition, this is our Hamlet, Zoe Speece. She's performing the Poor Yorick soliloquy there. And you can see again, we wanted to show how features of this specific space, such as the trapdoor here, is doubling as Ophelia's gravesite. This is our camera. This is a closer view. It's a Google Jump VR camera on loan for us. As you can see, we also nicknamed it the Death Droid because it looks a little bit like the Death Droid from Empire Strikes Back. It's actually a compilation of 17 synchronized cameras. So each of those little red dots there is an individual camera. And what it does is it automatically assembles footage from each of the 17 cameras in order to create a 360-degree image that users can view on a virtual reality headset. And the image looks something like this. This is bent and stretched out, of course, because this is a 2-dimensional rendering of a 360-degree image. But it looks, imagine you've got this strapped around your head. So as I mentioned, we shot 4 4-minute scenes from Hamlet. And the part of the project, that shoot that we're most proud of, that I think turned out best, which I'll be demoing in the hallway in a bit, is a short virtual tour of the Blackfriars Theatre that provides an introduction to the history and the various attributes of the space. So it just gives you a little glimpse of what you have to look forward to. The experience, I want to note also, is available for free on our website. The website also offers lesson plans for teachers who may want to incorporate the media into their own Shakespeare courses. That's what I did. Okay. So that was our first sort of project, and then we, to my great surprise, me more than anybody else, it worked pretty well. So inspired by the success of the Blackfriars project, we started to cook up plans for something bigger and more sophisticated and more interactive. So for our next project, rather than just simulating the experience of an audience member in Shakespeare's theater, our goal was to give users a sense of what it feels like to be an actor in one of Shakespeare's plays, like ratcheting things up a little bit. So in the summer of 2022, we started to put together plans for Sweet Sorrow. Sweet Sorrow's a virtual reality experience that enables users to perform in select scenes from Romeo and Juliet. So this gets to my question for you, Michael, about the difference between filmed environments versus programmed environments. So our Blackfriars project was essentially what I think you could call a very short virtual reality film. It was shot in a live, actual location, and it has photographic imagery. And users can look around in a 360-degree simulation, but importantly, they can't interact with the environment or just move around and navigate wherever they want. Sweet Sorrow, on the other hand, is more like a video game. And I use the term video game with pride and conviction and without shame. It takes place in a digital reconstruction of the Blackfriars Theatre. It is, as I said, a programmed environment rather than a photographed environment. Users can select the character they want to play. You can choose Romeo or Juliet, and they can navigate around the virtual theater as they please. And best of all, they can act in conjunction with virtual co-performers. So as the scene begins, the user's lines appear as subtitles superimposed over their field of view, and they can speak to their virtual co-performers who then speak back to them. It works a little bit, or actually a lot, like karaoke. We've been calling it Shakespeare karaoke. That's basically the template. But of course, here, instead of Katy Perry or Justin Bieber, it's Shakespeare. So just a little bit of how we made this. So in order to create the virtual Romeo and the virtual Juliet, we recorded the performances of actors from the CMU School of Drama using motion capture suits. So some of you may be familiar, like Andy Serkis for the Lord of the Rings movies and King Kong and Godzilla. This is the same technology with small, infinitesimally small fraction of the budget, right? But the same basic technology. Then we imported the gestural recordings from the mocap suits onto three-dimensional characters created by our design team and synced them with separate recordings of the actor's voice. So there was the gesture recording, and then we moved into an actual conventional recording studio for the audio part. I already said that. My next part. Okay, are you ready? Juliet? To help demonstrate Sweet Sorrow, I'm pleased to introduce my colleague. Please come up. The newest, this is Rylan, the newest member of the Shakespeare-VR team, who is going to help us out with a demo. So let's do this as quick as let's do it.
Do you want to try the audio or not? Or just
let's just try and be quiet. I think if I crank the headset, you'll be able to, and Rylan will make up with the.
Do I get the other one too or no?
No, you just need the first one.
All right. Just to select. All right.
Okay.
We were seeing his view.
Hold on.
Tell me when to start it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Okay, so it starts off in this sort of antechamber area called the library. And you can see he's looking around, and you're going to want to go towards that book. And and select your character. Oh, we kind of skipped the beginning part, but that's okay because we're short on time. And you will select Juliet.
That's the loudest. I can read it. Dude.
And then we're transported into the Blackfriars Theater.
Whoa.
And you'll navigate up to the yellow circle, and everybody's. This is really weird because you've got an actual audience and a virtual audience all watching you at the same time. If you approach Romeo, he'll start talking to you. There he is there. Oh, it's your line first.
Will thou be gone? It is not yet near day. It was the nightingale, and not the lark, that pierced the fearful hollow of thine ear. Nightly she singeth on you pomegranate tree. Believe me, love, it was the nightingale.
Very nicely done. And Romeo is saying you can't hear him. Oh, you can hear him.
Yon light is not daylight. I know it. Aye, it is some meteor that the sun exhales, to be to thee this night a torchbearer, and light thee on thy way to Mantua. Therefore stay yet, thou needst not to be gone.
Let me be ta'en, let
Okay, we better stop there because we're short on time. But thank you very much, Juliet. Please, that was excellent. And apologies for the audio. We thought we had it figured out, but we didn't. Okay, how am I doing on time? Okay, so just quickly, just a few thoughts. One of the really fun things about working on this project is that it really has opened up so many new things to think about and new questions to ask about Shakespeare in performance. So in addition to, sort of the technical side of things. Oh, Romeo's still going. Quiet. That's the nurse, that's me.
What's the saying? Technology will technology.
There we go, yeah. So in addition to developing virtual reality media, the technical side, a large part of my work for this project has involved theorizing virtual reality, writing about it, and contributing to the growing body of scholarly conversations surrounding it. So just last year, I'm a slide ahead. There we go. Nope. Sorry, I keep on getting this. There we go. Just last year, there we go, I co-edited this volume, Shakespeare and Virtual Reality, with my fellow Shakespearean David McInnes, who's at the University of Melbourne for Cambridge University Press's Elements in Shakespeare and Pedagogy series. The volume brings together a series of essays from film theorists, theatrical practitioners, pedagogical experts, virtual reality developers, and scholars like me, all of whom have begun to think seriously about the intersection between virtual reality and Shakespearean drama. And if you want a copy, please just send me an email. I'll get one to you. So in the time that remains, I just want to share a few reflections about the nature of the medium, especially in relation to Shakespeare and education. So first of all, we were talking a little bit about this at lunch. It's important to note that although virtual reality technology has been around for several decades now, actually, the medium has only really begun to come out of its infancy in the past 6 or 7 years with the introduction of affordable mass market headsets such as the Oculus. So as a media theorist, one of the things that has struck me about the current state of virtual reality technology is that it bears a striking resemblance to the silent films of the early 20th century. So the earliest offerings then of film and virtual reality alike were very, very short, and they tended to focus on the novelty of a new technology. Early film is all about, hey, there's this new thing, right? It's not a whole lot deeper than that. In the late 1900s, people would attend the Nickelodeon. This is the Nickelodeon Pittsburgh, one of the very first ones, simply to see the miracle of a moving image, or something like, there's a train and that's it, or there's a busy street corner. By the same token, most of the productions in the VR salons that you see popping up in shopping malls or and that sort of things, or in libraries someplace, involve something usually along the lines of you're on a roller coaster, or you're shooting zombies, or you're on a kayaking adventure. That is to say, they're not particularly deep or intellectually engaging, although there's a lot of salient exceptions to that, but generally speaking. It's also worth noting that some of the very earliest silent films were adaptations of Shakespearean drama, such as this version of King John from 1899. This is the oldest surviving Shakespeare film starring Sir Herbert Beerbohm Tree. Shakespearean drama was a good fit with the new medium of film because it provided a ready source of familiar stories, as well as a measure of cultural prestige, right? It helped to give film, to raise film's reputation, right? Oh, we're not just doing busy, now this is Shakespeare, right? Everybody pay attention. You'll notice, though, that this film of King John involves nothing more than a stationary camera in a theater. It predates, that is to say, the techniques that would come to define the grammar of cinema, such as the close-up shot and the jump shot, the panning shot, etc. It's just they're at this point in film history, they're thinking about film and conceptualizing film the same way people thought about theater, right? It doesn't work very well. As the 20th century progressed, film developed a storytelling logic of its own and would radically change the way people experience and think about Shakespeare. By the same token, actors developed special techniques for performing for the camera. So something they teach you in acting school, generally speaking, that differed significantly from techniques for performing for the stage. Some people do both, and sometimes people specialize in one or the other. So my intuition, the reason I'm talking about silent film is because my intuition is that in the decades to come, a lot of this sort of foundational work will have to be done for virtual reality as producers figure out how to make the best of the medium's expressive capabilities, right? Not just try and do things that video games are already doing in the language of video games, not just doing things that film's already doing in the language of film, but really sort of develop a style of production and storytelling that's native to virtual reality. As with early films, the novelty of the technology for VR actually wears off fairly quickly. It's a big deal the first time you ever put on a virtual reality headset, but it decreases very quickly. In order to genuinely engage an audience, virtual reality producers have to figure out how to develop characters or stories, emotional resonance in a manner that befits the medium. There are also some technical limitations that will have to be overcome, or at least, if not overcome, managed as the medium develops. As the state of technology now stands, my sense is that the ideal time length for a virtual production, at least along the lines of the sort of things we do, seems to be somewhere between 5 and 10 minutes. After that point, the headset can become uncomfortable, it can cause eye strain, it just gets worse the longer you go, it really does. Not for my 15-year-old son, but certainly for people my age. Another aspect of the experience that some people have trouble with is the eerie sense of disembodiment that arises when one can move and look around in a space without being able to see one's body. The newer Oculus headsets, at least you can get a good sense of your hands. But it's just weird. It sometimes makes people ill, just to sort of feel like, my head is moving, I can see things, but I can't see my body. So it's a genuinely odd feeling to be invisible to oneself. And, that's just right now one of the limitations that can be either overcome or maybe that can be worked with creatively. In any case, these elements, I think, will certainly play a role in determining the conventions of the medium as it comes into its own as a mature art form. Another thing that struck me while working on the Shakespeare-VR project is the extent to which the medium is actually a lot more like live theater in a lot of ways than film, especially in its capacity for interactivity. As in a theater, virtual reality users are free to look around, as I said, wherever one pleases. In film, on the other hand, the viewer's gaze is controlled by the frame, and a director can orchestrate the viewer's attention with devices such as a close-up, or by adjusting the depth of focus, or through editing, of course, as well. But in virtual reality, well, you can do editing. Directors have to find more subtle ways to nudge the viewer's attention, either by using visual clues. So you saw our circle of light that the user has to walk towards, right? And it's a process of discovery. Audio clues are also very important in that regard. Getting closer to Shakespeare studies in particular. Yeah.
Many more slides. We're about 15 minutes over.
Oh, already 15?
Over, yeah.
Oh, jeez. Okay, maybe I'll stop there then. Sorry, I thought I had till 3:45.
I want to hear all of it.
Right.
This analogy is so intriguing to me that I want to hear it. But I think we need soon to move on to comments.
Okay, yeah, let's move on to comments then. Okay. That's the.
How many more?
I was planning to end at 3:45, so I've got about 7 more minutes. I know that you've done a lot of work on questions, and I'll just say everything that I wanted to say anyway. Yeah, that's fine. Thank you. Sorry about that. I thought I had till 3:45.
I might ask you about all of that.
Okay, all good. Thank you.
So, Lisa,
Yeah, I'm not gonna stand. You got lazy, the end of that, you never forgive me. And Stevie, I felt I was being so clever when I was reading and researching your project. And I thought, hello. And then you said it. You're fucking saying I was devastated.
I'm sorry.
No. I don't know, Amy, Sean, whoever made the assignments, you did not know this, but I'm actually kind of a Shakespearean geek. And in your book, Allow Me to, again, everyone, you get the PDF, you reference, interest in Shakespeare being sparked by an early performance who are similar. And I was one of those lucky few that, had annual field trips to see the San Francisco Shakespeare Company and see amazing things. So I've seen dozens, nay hundreds productions, things from Ian McKellen doing King Lear, to the Actors Gang doing a children's theater production of Shakespeare's bloodiest show, Titus Andronicus, but it was reimagined as Titus the Clownicus. And it was a warring factions of clown families. That's terrifying.
Yeah.
It was hysterical.
Yeah. As if Titus isn't scary enough. You really need clowns in there?
Titus the Clown is a traumatized. And if you remember, there was a horrifying scene where one of the characters, her tongue is cut out, so she cannot share his dramas, what she's been subjected to. And in the play, she had a peanut allergy, and her tongue was full. So she couldn't talk.
Well, that's that's better than being raped and having your tongue cut out. Yeah, I think.
So I appreciated many things in your project. Certainly the first was the end, to spark interest, to give students an appreciation of the circumstance of Shakespeare's productions present. A great intent. I will admit that earlier, the phase 1 projects, for me, were kind of, it was a lovely recording. It was a lovely VR tour and the building. But it wasn't until phase 2 where you started putting in the interactivities, the choices, and the Shakespeare karaoke, that I was like, okay, I'm sold now. So it was phase 2 and that interactivity that really pushed this over the edge for me, and they did a very successful project, and I appreciate that. In your presentation, I think, in addition to experiencing and seeing that, what I appreciated most is your idea of the state of VR and just your appreciation of the current state of the medium. 25 years ago, 26 years ago, Janet Murray and Hamlet on Holodeck, thought all of these early projects are in Finagula, very early kind of prototypes of what VR experiences might be. It's kind of sad for me that you're still thinking we're there, but I think we are still there. And I appreciate your awareness of that. So as I was watching Sweetheart and thinking about the future, I was imagining my brother, who performs regularly in Shakespeare-in a community theater in Prescott, Arizona, it's a little tiny stage. I'm thinking, including a very dodgy Western theme production of The Merry Wives of Winslow.
Oh, man.
But I'm thinking, entire plays where, you could drop out your character and the curse and play the scene through. So it could be a teaching tool for actors. I thought that would be a craze. I thought 360 capture of amazing performances where the camera was situated within the action in such a way that you could say, I want to watch in the television rear from the front row, from on stage, where the action is swirling around me, and I get to watch and pivot and see the up-close things. So that was what I was fantasizing about, but I want to hear what you're thinking about for the future. What's your next phase?
Right. Okay. Well, I really appreciated your note on interactivity. I think that was our probably our biggest lesson from doing the first. With the first project, it was, hey, we made something. VR. We went down to the theater and got something out and did it. But it immediately became pretty evident to us that, oh, yeah, interactivity. With virtual reality, one of the questions my collaborators are always asking is, why is this in virtual reality? I heard somebody say that during our conversations today, and I was very happy to hear that question. Why does this need, why this medium where you're, very particular sort of situation where you've got a 360-degree surround? That's the problem with doing something like when you mentioned your fantasy Ian McKellen performance. Okay, so you're looking at Ian McKellen, he's there. What's going on in the rest? Right? So you said swirling around to sort of mitigate that, which that has to be started at the story. So our next project is a Macbeth project where we're really trying to do even more to leverage the particular affordances of virtual reality. Just throwing everything that we have at it. It's 4 parts. One part is kind of a karaoke thing again, but hopefully we'll do it even better next time. There's also we're really leaning into gaming. So we're doing Macbeth and Macduff's sword fight at the end of Macbeth, where it's, and real swords and, well, not real, virtual swords and virtual blood. And, you hear the clanking of the armors and really, really feel like a video game, and but with a Shakespearean soundtrack and the lines, right? A tour, my favorite part that we've been working on so far is a tour of the Witch's Cave, where you go from, you're in fire and then you're flying through space and there's spinning witches' heads going around you and really, filling up that wall of visual information. So that's what's on the menu to come with the blessings of the NEH is really leaning into interactivity, giving people things to do, and really trying to make it as fun as possible and leaning into what virtual reality already does well. So, my question is not what can virtual reality do for Shakespeare so much as it is what can Shakespeare bring to the VR game, right?
Okay. My next question, this is for students. Your target audience is students and the general public. Can you talk a little bit about public outreach and how you're trying to spread the word?
Yeah. This is the other big lesson that I've learned so far. So, there's something that I'm just beginning to learn out that's just kind of, I guess I was a little bit slow to catch on, but since we've begun, we've been mostly focused on the technological aspect of development. But what I've realized is there's this other huge important side of the work that has more to do with project management and public outreach and doing things like taking VR headsets into high schools. There's at CMU, there's a project, sort of a special program, Arts Greenhouse, that specifically emphasizes outreach to disenfranchised or lower privileged minorities. So go into high schools. We did demos for 45 very, very excited, rambunctious high school students. But to figure out how to do that properly, it's also not so much a technical challenge, but takes some pretty heavy-duty organizational work and just sort of figure out. To my technical collaborators' great chagrin, I've also learned to love cardboard viewers because not everybody can afford a $200, $500 headset. For those of you who don't know, Google Cardboard is these, very, very inexpensive. I can print 1,000 of them for about $1.50 a piece. and take them into schools. And I mean, my collaborators hate them because like we spent ages working on this, just the audio is terrible out of an iPhone, and it's not the best way to see it, but it is doing that work of at least getting it out. We've been working on museum and library exhibits. So we're at the Frick Museum in Pittsburgh now, along with an exhibition of the first folio, and at the library too. Figuring out how to do just a standalone exhibit where I don't have to be there and put it on and tell you what to click on, but you can, and it just goes. And we've got exhibits next year. If things go well, that exhibit will travel to Tokyo and to Seoul and maybe to the Folger Shakespeare Library, I'm hoping, as well. And maybe anybody else who, if you want a Shakespeare-VR exhibit, where that's the great thing about that is, I'm in a different city. It's a librarian or somebody who sets it up in the morning, and it runs on a loop, and people can come and do it. So all that stuff of promotion and audience building is a big part. My attention has shifted a little bit from technical challenges and more to organizational and logistical challenges.
I have an obvious comment and then one final question before we have other questions. My obvious comment is I want you to work with Glenn and Sabina and with the first folio in their VR experience.
All right. We'll do. We've got a first folio at CMU. We can come and do some photogrammetry.
Yeah, excellent. No, just digitization, yes.
My final question is in the weeds technology. Phase 2 included a lot of moving pieces. It included, VR, actors, motion capture, recording, voice recording, syncing all of that. And it sounds like phase 3 is going to be even more ambitious.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about key challenges that were passed and what you're predicting of the future?
There's so many. One big one that's really important to me and how I think about and how I teach Shakespearean drama is getting us, this is my question again about the people, getting a sense of you're not just in an empty theater alone watching actors on stage, but the actors are looking at the audience and you're in a crowd of people and trying to recreate that sense of being in a crowd and being with people. For the Blackfriars project, it turned out just the VR camera that we have, we couldn't move it while we're filming. So it just sort of had to sit on the stage. So, your perspective, we wanted it to be like you're in the audience, but it was a little bit more like you're kind of floating around, you're a disembodied spirit. You can begin to get a greater sense of people in a programmed environment. It's still tricky. You can't get too close to them or you begin to pass through them and it gets strange. You can kind of see when we did the demo of Sweet Sorrow too, you don't, to program individual, we're not Red Dead Redemption, to program individual avatars, you want a crowd of 100, that's a lot of programming, like we don't have the budget, but to try and, you sort of saw we had this sort of shading, so which was based on actual audience members in our shoot at the Blackfriar Day, and audio again was very important here too, to give that sense of intimacy of an audience. And so that's the big challenge, I guess, is audiences and trying to figure out how, where the sweet spot is to give people a sense of being in a crowd. But there's many other challenges too. Sorry, I feel like I've totally thrown time out of joint and we're off schedule.
We're only a couple minutes past our
okay.
break. So
Why don't we do like maybe one or two questions and what? I want to privilege new hands.
There's,
I got that phrase from him, by the way. Okay.
I know sure what I see this to be a great project, and I love it. I just want to see just as far as outreach, like Los Angeles Public Library, Logan's VR head of it. So maybe reach out to your public library system and create a program or partner that way, maybe to reach the community.
yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah. Problem is they break so easily too. But it's a great thought. Thank you.
Quest should only cost $5.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't do much when you compare actually to the Google Cardboard. In a lot of ways, cardboard's a much better product in terms of cost efficiency. Like it blows it right out of the water.
So I have a concept of one question.
Oh, okay.
First, I want to start to this project. This is fantastic.
you.
We've had Shakespeare. It's such a great tool to and when I touch Shakespeare, one of those things is that when you get students just to say it out loud, there's discovery memories,
Yeah.
right? Just like you get a student to say it out loud, like a fellow speech, like, I'm not blessed, soft phrase of speech, they realize like how much that's just a beautiful phrase, saying it out loud in a couple of like minutes,
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering for you, has there ever been a sort of a moment like that where you creating the VR experience and you discovered anything about Shakespeare's text or play because you put it into the VR experience?
Oh yeah, it's again the discoveries are almost innumerable, but it's very, very much this. It's similar to the experience in the few experiences where I've had where I'm working on a play with actors. And actors just kind of get really, really deep into a text. The way that, scholars go very, very deep, but in different sorts of ways. Like actors are always concerned with very, very sort of practical questions of production, and they imaginatively enter their character to figure out things like motivation. With here we had to really look at the script very, very, very closely in order to, and go over it and over it and over again. So yes, I feel like I know that, especially with Sweet Sorrow, that scene, we made all sorts of discoveries. It made me realize how great Juliet is in ways that I had never noticed, especially. I was very, very impressed by her. But as I said, it's a topic that I could really go on to, but it works. And the other, just one thing I'll add, it was a great tool also for educating my unintended consequence here, but educating my developers started, and they're like, what is this? They were not Shakespeareans, right? They were computer programmers, but they started to really like the play as well because they, developing the audio especially. A programmer I was working with, he said, I've probably listened to this 1,000 times. He had to take all the individual pieces and put them together and get the levels and all that. Like he said, I could recite this from memory. This is not what he thought he was getting himself into when he took a computer programming degree at CMU. So it worked, unintentionally as an educational tool, weirdly in that way as well too, but also for me.
So why don't we move to break? And come back at 4:10 for the demos, and then any other outlying questions you can ask during the demo.
Right. Oh, and I'll pass around stickers too. Thank you. Thank you.